Episode, yeah, I was about to say episode whatever. You know I don't know what fucking episode this is. Welcome back to the Gospel of Fire, everyone. And I am here with my friend, student, and I'm about to get to know you. Jenni Skyler or Skyler? Skyler. How are you, Jenni?
I'm well. Thanks.
These are my favorite. When somebody asks me to, like, they're like, let's talk about this. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, when they come prepared, like, I get a lot of shit for my Curtis Blades episode because Curtis asked to be on my podcast and then had nothing to talk about with me. I love Curtis, you know, but I was like, all right, man, well, fuck, here we go. Like, we're going to talk about being a dad because he just had a baby. So, yeah, but you have something you would like to talk about. But first, let's do a little talk. How are you?
I'm well. It's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. You have a nice red necklace and a nice red.
Thank you.
Are you a Valentine's Day lover or hater?
I'm mixed. It's my dad's birthday.
Okay, so you like the day.
So I honor the day, but I'm not a Hallmark bullshit kind of person.
Did you do anything for your husband?
No.
Like no card, no flowers?
No.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Me
Did
either.
you?
No, fuck no. I'm lucky though. My engagement anniversary is on Sunday. So I get to do something then. Yeah. You know, so but she hates it too. She's not my wife's not a foo-foo like, oh, yay, I need flowers today.
Yeah. We don't celebrate much of anything. My birthday was 2 days ago, and it was like, hey, happy birthday. Here's a nice dinner.
We're going to get into this, and this is a funny topic because we are going to talk about sex and porn and all kinds of stuff today. But I was watching the movie, God, what the fuck is the movie? 40, This is 40. Have you ever seen this movie?
No. Wait, I heard about it.
All right, so it starts out with this lady. It's her birthday. She's turning 40 years old, and she and her husband are in the shower having sex. And then, like, his penis is a little bigger than normal, you know? And he's, like, really, really excited. And she's like, what's going on? He's like, oh, it's your birthday, baby. I took a Viagra for you.
No.
And she's like, oh, you took a Viagra for me? Fuck you. You think that's what I want? Like, you know, like... And she's like, oh, what, I'm 40 now? I can't get you hard? Like, you know, it was so fucking funny. Like, I was just like, and so when you, like, with the topic that we're going to talk about, and then when you said it was your birthday, I was like, I don't know, every time a girl has said it's her birthday that's married in the last couple of days, it's like I've gone to that movie, you know, because, like, for sure, if, like, girls could do that for boys, we would definitely want you to do that on our birthday.
Oh, yeah, the birthday blowjob?
Yeah, but the girls don't want that so much. You know, you guys are like, you don't want a Viagra. You don't want 4 hours of sex today.
Not 4 hours.
Yeah, not 4 hours.
But, a reliable erection.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Not what my husband struggles with. But
right.
Lots of people struggle.
Lots of people struggle. I'm not saying they don't, but he doesn't struggle.
Yeah.
He just wanted to give her a little extra.
Yeah.
And she was already feeling bad that she was turning 40, you know? So it was kind of comical. It was a good way to start off the movie. My wife and I both laughed.
Good.
So let's jump into it. You are a sex doctor.
Yes.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? I'm a sex therapist.
Okay, a sex therapist. What does that mean?
I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist too.
Okay.
So some people come in with just relationship issues. But
okay.
Usually there's sort of the icing on the cake, which is sex. Something related to their sexuality.
Okay.
Be it if it's couples, there's usually a desire discrepancy. One person wants more sex than the other. They've gotten to such a...
How often is that?
All the time. Well, most people, one person wants more sex than the other, except when they're starting to date.
Right.
It just becomes a problem if couples can't navigate it or becomes really dramatic. The difference is really dramatic, or they just can't negotiate through it. Is
it normally males more, women less for you?
Yeah.
Right.
Most of the time. Most of the time. I mean, I would say the biggest kept secret is that there are some men who do struggle with a lower sex drive.
Right.
And
I have some friends that are like, once every 10 days is fine. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
That's unique. I mean, there are men out there like that.
Right.
But I usually tell men, this is not a clinical term, but clean the tubes at least once a week.
Right.
Be it your own hand or, partner eroticism. At least,
Right.
Depending on age.
Sure.
But there are some with a lower sex drive. I usually want to check out their testosterone levels.
Okay.
And are they burning out their adrenals and overtraining and those kinds of things? Are they,
right.
Are they not turned on by their partner, but they're...
Talk a little louder.
Okay. Or are they, getting their needs met somewhere else with a screen, with another person?
How often is the screen thing?
Oh, often.
So they don't want to have sex with their partner, but they want to watch porn.
Totally.
Is it because they find their partner boring?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. The screen has this, so you got to wheel it back and think about the whole idea around sex being taught as a performance. Is this better?
Yes, go ahead.
I like to look at people when I talk, so if I'm just looking there.
Yeah, don't look at the camera.
Okay.
That's weird to look at the camera.
Fall.
I hit that up.
Did I just screw this up?
No, you're good.
Okay. So if you think about sex as a performance, which is what we're taught.
Right.
And you see it in Hollywood, you see it in porn, you look at, let's say you meet somebody at a bar.
But some of us aren't even taught that. Some of us are taught not to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's even worse.
Right. Okay. But go back to we're talking about the males, though. Sex is a performance. My bad.
All of us, sex is a performance.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, even if you're taught not to do it, by the time you actually start having sex, you do it as a performance.
Right.
So you take off your clothes, you kiss, maybe you play with the genitals, and you have intercourse, because that's what we know as quote unquote sex, and you have an orgasm. And in Hollywood, you have an orgasm at the same time. And you ascend this stairwell. No, it's true, though.
Right.
I mean, and in Hollywood, it's like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's that. And that's how we kind of understand sex to be. And porn perpetuates that message, which is fine. Porn has its place in terms of like moving erotica and turning people on. But if it's for sex education, now we think that's what sex has to look like. It's this big performance. I've got to have these huge genitals. They've got to do this whole performative thing. We've got to have this orgasm at the same time. But what if we come too quickly? What if we lose an erection? What if we don't have an orgasm if you were a woman or something?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then we feel like we failed in this performance. And then
Well, I think the male feels like he failed too if the woman doesn't have an orgasm.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I always say you got to own your own orgasm.
Okay.
So, and we can come back to that, but basically if you think about a stairwell and if you don't perform perfectly and you feel like you fall off the stairwell at some point, the next time you climb the stairwell, the next time you have sex, you go, ooh, I hope that doesn't happen again. But that induces the anxiety inevitably.
Holy fuck. Okay, so I'll tell a personal story here. So when my wife and I were trying to have a baby, our first child, she has endometriosis. And so she's been going to a doctor forever, like since she was, I don't know, fucking 16 or something, 15. And she was on all kinds of medication and, she wasn't sure if she wanted to have a kid and I wanted to have a kid, but she was like, all right, let's have a kid, So we went to the doctor and we talked to him and she thought it was going to be very, very hard. We hadn't tried yet, and she read all of these books about trouble in pregnancy, trouble getting pregnant.
Before even trying.
Oh, right?
Wow.
Because she was nervous. She's like, this is going to be hard. Fuck. And her doctor told her it was going to be hard. So my wife's a perfectionist, so she wanted to knock it out, have it be perfect. And I mean, I didn't read shit, I'm just like, we're going to fuck, right? And then, so the time comes and she, sorry. And I guess when you're having trouble, you're not supposed to do any foreplay because all of that can cause the saliva, the oils on the skin can kill sperm. She read it somewhere, maybe in some foo-foo book, who fucking knows, right? It's the problem with the internet, right? So we go to start and she's like, don't do that. Nope. Don't we kiss. And then it's after that, nope, don't touch me. Nope. And I'm
just
like,
put your penis in.
Yeah, just put it in. And I'm like, huh? And then, and I'm like, oh God, this has never happened before. Fuck. And then I freaked. I freaked for a long time. I was like, and then I was like, oh God, okay. The next time I was like, I'm just gonna have to get it in. Oh God. It became paranoia. And then I had no problems. Got pregnant, luckily somehow I have no fucking clue. Second kid comes, same fucking thing. She's like, let's have a kid. And I'm like, oh God, we're gonna have to do this again. Fuck, I hated making babies.
Wow, that's really sad.
I fucking hated making babies.
I wish I had chatted with you back then.
I love having sex, but I hated making babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's stressful. A lot of people bring a lot of stress to it.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a certain gender, so they're trying to do a certain position or come
No,
in
it wasn't that.
order.
It was
you were just like,
I wasn't ready for that. I'm not blaming her, right? Because she was on a different space.
Sure.
I wasn't ready for that. And then I'm a mental head case, I think I've been pretty clear about my anxiety and I can fucking go.
Yeah.
You just
all you got to do is think about your performance and you can lose your erection.
Yeah, you just give me a little spark and boom, anywhere. Where do you want to go? What direction you want to head bad down? So yeah, that's where I headed bad down. All my fault. I'm not blaming her at all. And Yeah, it was rough trying to make babies. And then like I can remember after we had our second, she thought she wanted a third, and this was in the peak of my anxiety as well. Like I was losing it already, you know, like in the pits of hell. And she's like, "What about a third?" And then like I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have to get a fucking heart on." Like, you know, like I was like, "No," I was like, "I can't handle more babies." Like so, you know, man. So yeah, I understand that, and you know the male problem.
Yeah, and that's how it is for a lot of men. I mean, even young men. So the porn or any screen, right? It's safe. They don't have to perform for someone else. Your anxiety was very circumstantial to making babies because there was all these circumstances that created anxiety for you. But for a lot of men, the circumstance is just sex itself.
Oh, I see it, because I did watch more porn during that time. I was like, oh God, I don't work anymore. Do I work?
Well, it's not that the porn creates the anxiety.
No.
Is a safe outlet.
No, that's
and
what I'm
refuge.
saying. It was safe for me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, fuck my dick don't work anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like
let me test it out.
Let me see if it works on the screen. Okay. It works.
Right.
Yeah. Like because you get all I got fucking paranoid because it's never not worked before.
Right.
You know, like
right. Because you had to perform. You're like, I have to have this erection. I can't like.
I can't not. I can't not have this happen now.
Yeah. So think about that. If that was your reality all the time.
Porn is the safety.
Sure, because you don't have to perform for another person. And there's anonymity, and there's easy access, and there's lots of arousal.
Yeah.
And there's lots of variety of arousal. And so there's...
I think the second she left the house the next time is the first thing I did. Because I was real scared.
Yeah. You wanted to check it out, make sure I work.
It had nothing to do with like the actual porn.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to make sure that I was okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people blame the porn and, you know, go off in all these directions about porn addiction and, you know, stuff like that. And there are some men who do struggle with compulsive porn use. But
what does that look like?
10 times a day, at work, on the toilet, you know, when you're in a gas station, like just compulsive use.
You can't not watch.
Yeah. And that's also an anxiety piece.
Right. You can't not watch the porn.
It assuages the anxiety. You get all the endorphins and the orgasm, and it feels good.
And they jerk off at the gas station, or they just watch porn? Which one?
Oh, there's inevitably usually a jerking off that's paired with it.
Okay.
Because it's the release of all the endorphins afterwards too.
All right.
And then, but what happens is, God, I have to use all of this porn all the time, 10 times a day, and then the shame hits. So the orgasm kind of takes away all the anxiety or the shame, and it's like, I'm basking in my post-orgasmic bliss. And then like maybe a few minutes later, maybe an hour later, all the shame of, well, shit, I had to do that to get there. And then the shame overwhelms them and drives them to do it again because it's their only outlet to process and metabolize their shame or their anxiety.
What do you do for them?
Whew, that's you want to work the core underlying issue.
Okay.
Where does this originally come from? Usually it's paired with validation, meaning like there's no internal barometer of I feel validated from the inside. I need to get my validation outside from everyone else.
Okay. And
if that's not coming my way, what do I do to sort of fill that hole? How do I feel? It's not really any different than other quote-unquote addictions, like, you know, alcohol or
right.
even gambling. Or
you have to go through like a 12-step program?
I don't like the 12-step programs simply because I think they're a little more pathologizing. It pathologizes sex in general.
What's that mean?
What does pathologizing mean?
Like, what does that mean to pathologize sex? Yeah.
Shame it, make it a bad thing.
I know I'm an author now, but I don't have big words.
Okay, that's okay. Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks.
Basically, the treatment protocol with 12-step is similar to alcohol. It's abstinence only, but you can't go abstinence from sex. We are sexual beings because we are human.
It's coming out either way for boys.
It's coming out, yeah, and women too. I mean, if I go a long time, or I know other women who go a long time, I'll have orgasms in my sleep and dreams. Our bodies are made to sort of do that. Okay,
yeah, same for boys.
Yep, yours just has more ejaculate that goes with it.
Yeah, sure, it's a problem.
Yeah, well, it's not a problem. You just more laundry.
Well, yeah, I don't know, like, especially when you're a teenager, you're young, you're like, oh God, you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, yeah, it's a problem. I didn't like it when I was a kid.
Well, if you do your own laundry, which, you teach your kids to do early, then they can take care of that.
Yes. I want to say that's when I think that's when I started doing my own laundry. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
So the pathology, if you withhold your sexuality, it's
I like
not
what you
even
said,
just...
though, teach your kids to do early. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Parents are so scared of that shit.
My son's going to be 5 next month, and he does the laundry with me. And the second he's tall enough to actually pour it in himself, he's doing his own laundry.
My kids put it away right now.
Good.
Yeah. We're not quite to the doing it part. But yeah, but I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get there. Yeah, when Kanan starts jerking off, we'll get there. Renee doesn't want to talk about when Kanan starts jerking off. Well, it's a weird thing. Yeah, sure. She's like, do you think they're going to want to sleep as my boys sleep in the same room? Oh,
yeah.
She's like, do you think they're going to want... They have bunk beds, and they asked for it, She's like, do you think they're going to want to sleep in the same room forever? I was like, until Kanan starts jerking off. And she's like, oh, come on. Like,
Then your water bill will just go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Boys find a way.
So anyway, back to it. Go ahead. The pathology, yeah. I just disagree with withholding sex altogether, or saying that there's a lot of ideology in those circles of masturbation is bad and self-pleasure is bad and fantasy and erotica is bad. There's all these like places where sexuality is bad, and so we just abstain from it altogether. It comes a lot from religion, right?
Yeah,
like religion,
there's a heavy
religion
religious.
teaches us that, like,
yeah,
don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Okay, you can do it now.
Now you're married, do it.
Do it. And
no anxiety there, right?
Huh?
Sex is a sin. Just say it for your soulmate.
Yeah, you've been told your whole life that you're going to go to hell for this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some religions.
Yeah.
Not all.
Ours. The Western religions.
Yeah.
The Judeo-Christian religions.
Yeah.
Do, right?
Yeah. Jewish a little bit less.
A little less.
There's more permission for pleasure there.
Right. You're a good Jew, right?
Depends how you define good.
Well,
I don't go to a synagogue.
Yeah, that's a good Jew.
Oh, okay.
a non-believing Jew is what a good Jew is. That's what I mean, my grandparents survived the Holocaust, and I don't think my grandfather believed in God, and he's a Jew. He always said he was a Jew.
Your grandparents survived the Holocaust. That's incredible.
Yeah, I got stories. Jeez. On stories.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was it was I'm not blaming them, but probably like the root of my anxiety, right? Because at my formative years, it's coming again. Like Hitler's coming again. Like we saved. I mean, I can remember getting in trouble for throwing out stale bread.
Yeah.
Because I've never been hungry. You don't throw out stale bread.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my dad is friends with this woman, and she's in her late 70s, and I think her mom was a Holocaust survivor, too.
Okay.
It wasn't her. It was her mom it was her mom. And this woman had probably billions, like many, many, many millions, and she had multiple deep freezers to save the half bagel she wouldn't finish at breakfast, that kind of stuff, because it's so just deeply embedded in our culture and probably like almost on the cellular level. My
grandma died in 2000, and like we started like going through some things like in the basement of their house where my sister lives there now. And we found sugar from 1979. A lot, and all the way through. I mean, we're talking 21 years of stuff, of food.
Yeah.
It's not usable. Like you would never eat it now, You
got to think about that mindset though.
Yeah, so they were ready.
Yeah.
They were ready, like they were survivors.
They were ready. Did they also have firearms, or were they only ready with food?
No firearms. I mean, my uncle did, but the firearms didn't help. The firearms didn't help when they raided, like they did it. Like what Hitler did was very systematic, right? It wasn't like this one like one cop shows up to your house.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a whole group.
It's a little bit like the firearms at like I disagree with that argument of firearms, like why we need them. Mm-hmm. Like if the government wants to take over, what do you think they're going to show up with 3 guys? 3 guys and their AKs against your AKs? Mm-hmm. No, man. They show up with fucking tanks and drones and an army of people to take us, Yeah. And that's how the ghetto, first go to the ghetto. And then the ghettos got liberated. There was no, there was, I mean, you can have all the guns you want. Every single person could have a gun and you would all die.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Nazis like a bunch of Nazis would have died too, but every Jew would have died.
Yeah.
Some,
I mean, I vaguely remember history where there was some that kind of, I don't know, resisted.
Oh yeah, my grandfather was, he was a resistor. You know, I won't say he wasn't a resistor, but it was with his mind.
Yeah.
It wasn't with his weapons.
With his purpose?
What's that?
With purpose. Like a Viktor Frankl situation?
Yeah. No. He would move from like camp to camp. Like he became friends with the Nazis. You know, like he buddied them.
He schmoozed.
Yeah, you know, he like made his way.
Yeah.
Because when his family was liberated, he from the ghettos. When he was taken, you know, to the ghettos, he never saw anybody again.
Wow.
That was the last day he saw anybody. So yeah, you know, and he was not like old. He was 19 years old, 20 years old, something like that, and he had to figure it out. You know, he had to figure out how to, and he saw. He was a genius of a guy. You know, he just saw that like just listening was not the way, because you were just likely to go to the gas chamber. So he did things for them. You know, and got like the lower level Nazis things, so that they became his friend. And then, you know, he like just worked his way up, just like a prison, right? Like there's the guy who gets things in prison, right? I don't know how that guy gets things, you know, but he gets things. So he was the guy who could get things.
He probably read people really well and figured out what they needed and wanted and was able to make it happen.
Yeah. And that's how he survived. And my Baba, that's my grandma. She just luck.
Yeah.
Luck, you know, she pure luck, she said. You know, and she made her sister and her mother survive. They were weak people, and she did all of their work. So she never slept again after the camps. You know, like 2-3 hours a night. That was it ever.
So, do you feel like you embody aspects of both of them?
I have. Do I embody aspects of both?
I mean, I was listening to your author thing yesterday, and you talked about your struggles to sleep.
Yeah.
And then
that just comes from anxiety. I think I have that. I think I have that of my Baba, but of my grandfather, of my Zadie, I have his ability to read people quickly. You know, like I can, I can tell very quickly whether you're good or bad. You know, and like, are we going to be tight? Not even if we're going to be tight. Like, can I trust you? Yeah. And it doesn't matter based on what you've done. It's not like this.
It's an intuition.
Like my friend Vinny was in prison.
Yeah.
Did terrible shit. Like he's talked about. Did awful shit. You know? He's a good dude.
Yeah.
You know? He's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
But so it's not like, so I have that ability. I have his numbers ability. Like, so I can see how to make business and numbers and how the numbers need to work, you know? And
you can schmooze with people.
I can schmooze with people.
I mean, you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't.
And I can schmooze, and I have that ability, you know? So I have that of them, you know? And I also have this piece of like, holy fuck, here comes Hitler.
Yeah.
You know? So like like I have a friend who doesn't understand the whole Nazi talk with Trump, you know, and how people relate him to a Nazi. And I said, it's because you've never met anybody that has known Nazis. And I grew up with them. Yeah. You know? So if you really, I mean, you can't get it from a book. You can't read about the Nazis. You can't do anything. But if you have ever been around people that grew up with Nazis, you know, that were in the camps, then and you had to be in the camps. I'm not talking about people, like, no offense if this is you, like Jews that were here already, their families were here, and like, you know, their grandmom that nobody ever saw again was over there. Yeah. You had to experience what it was like.
Yeah, that visceral sense, of
what it was like. So when you talk to those people, you know, and you spend a lot of time with those people about what Nazis were like, you'd get it. Yeah. And I'm not saying he's a Nazi. I'm not trying to say that. But some of the rhetoric is a lot right now, you know? Yeah. And you would understand, you know?
There's a visceral sensation you feel from people who experience deep trauma, which is,
I mean, you couldn't go in their house. Like if you walked in their house,
you probably felt it.
There's something like, what the fuck happened? Yeah. You know? Yeah. What the fuck happened to these people? You know? Without even knowing it. Without even knowing that they were in concentration camps or anything like that. Yeah. But just from the second that you it's just this,
People vibrate that. I mean, even in my office, I can feel when people have had the severe sexual abuse or incest or things like that. Like they vibrated at a different. They just embody their bag of bones in a different way, and
there's something you can't get away from it. There's something,
it just lives.
It's somewhere inside, So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's got serious.
Yeah,
quickly.
we got serious.
We're talking about sex, and it's supposed to be light and fun. Now we're talking about Holocaust.
And now we're talking about Hitler.
Hitler, Holocaust, and sexual abuse.
This is why I don't like to. I like to prepare a little bit about, I know about the person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what they do a little bit. But I don't think about questions I want to ask or anything like that. Because when I do that, the conversation feels, okay, now question number 1 will be, and that's not
Yeah.
We just naturally went to the Holocaust somehow.
We did.
We
did.
So.
And that, by the way, to bring it full circle for sex.
Yeah.
So remember the stairwell I was talking about that creates anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very performative and puts the genitals on stage and makes them do these things. And so, of course, you're going to have anxiety if you're like, I got to get this erection or I got to last long enough.
Sure.
So the screen kind of takes people away, protects you. But I don't want people to use the screen as their only refuge. I want them to have other tools in their toolbox.
Right.
So not having it so mechanical and robotic, like your interviews, for instance, you like to flow and be spontaneous.
Yeah.
The other way to think about sex is what I call the cheesecake of pleasure.
Okay.
So instead of your stairwell, this robotic mechanical stairwell, the routine of that, the pressure of that, the performance of that, if you have this cheesecake, and the analogy I like to make is, have you been to the supermarket and seen in the freezer section those cheesecakes with the different flavors?
What do you mean?
So if you imagine a circular platter of cheesecake,
okay,
and then they have little individually sliced cheesecake flavors.
They put them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's a few pieces of chocolate and a few pieces of peanut butter.
Got it. Yep.
So if you think about that, all those different flavors,
okay,
they're all mutually exclusive of each other. They're separate flavors.
Okay.
But, you could eat the flavor. You can eat one flavor one night. You can eat 3 flavors. You can eat the entire platter. You can eat the entire platter in whatever order you want. So the idea is that each piece of cheesecake is a sexual or sensual activity. So it could be mutual masturbation. It could be a sensual shower. It could be anal sex. It could be intercourse. It could be swinging from the chandeliers. I mean, whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Okay.
Whatever you want. Have a great time. As long as both people agree to it and consent to it. Each flavor is its own unique thing. And then there's no pressure in it. The only goal is pleasure. So let's say it is a sensual shower. There isn't any, maybe it's genitally oriented, maybe it's not. Maybe an orgasm happens, maybe it's not. It doesn't. So that's a great bonus if it happens, but the idea is we're just engaging in the activity for pleasure.
Okay, I have to ask you, and it's going to get personal again. Okay. Because my wife says this all the time. Okay. Right? Because we already talked about men want more than women in general.
You have more testosterone.
Right, yeah. Especially I'm on testosterone, so.
You are?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that. Maybe Clomid's better. Anyway.
Oh, God, Clomid scares me.
Really?
Okay, this added to my wife's pregnancy, right? Because she was on fucking Clomid.
I'm a Clomid baby, too.
Okay, so she was on Clomid. She was in excruciating pain from the Clomid.
That's because it's helping her ovulate extra eggs.
Yeah, no shit, but she'd be bent over oh God, okay, come fuck. And you're like, huh? This did not help me.
That's not sexy.
I was like, you were just crying in pain a second ago. You want to? Really? Okay. I'm not blaming her. I get it that she was in actual pain and now it's time for us to go and yada yada. I get that this was the purpose, but it ain't fucking fun. I talk to I have a friend whose wife was on Clomid and you're literally it's really? You want to put some underwear on? And shower first? You haven't showered in 2 days.
Yeah.
So,
I have a different feeling on fertility. But, Clomid is it's useful. It sounds like that's what you needed.
I have HCG as well, which I think is another sex drug.
Okay.
So our balls don't shrink, from the testosterone.
Okay.
But yeah, so, my testosterone, I have an alpha thalassemia.
I don't know what that means.
I don't make enough red blood cells.
Oh.
So therefore, everything's going to come down low.
Okay.
So this sucks. As far as the physical competition for me, that sucks, right?
What are your natural numbers?
So when I got tested recently, my total was okay.
Okay.
But my free was tanked. I had no free testosterone. My free was 4.
God, did you? the reason I say Clomid, it's a newer. I'm by no means am I a medical doctor.
Right,
I'm a therapist, but I do have a few men who have seen an endocrinologist, and the newest thing that they've been doing, what Clomid does for men, for some men, I don't know about your situation, but is it resets their own natural testosterone. So you don't have to be stuck on testosterone replacement.
Right. I'll talk to my doctor. I do not go to the low T center. Like, I think that's
no, I would say do this with an endocrinologist.
Yeah, no. So I'm just saying in general, like, I am not a fan of the low T center. Like, I'm not like you go and you take a test. Everyone has low testosterone. Here's some
everyone does, yeah.
right. Like, so like I'm not a fan. Like, they don't like there's a lot of work that has to be done on the testosterone side of things. Like, I had to do like a fucking battery of tests. Like, I had to do like all this testing before my doctor would say, okay, we can go on testosterone now. You know?
Good for your doctor.
Yeah. No, he does it right, you know?
Yeah.
What were we saying though?
But you were going to ask me a question about the shower or something.
Oh, the shower thing. Okay, yeah, like the sensual shower. Yeah. So like my wife says this all the time, because I mean, I want it more, she wants it less. You know what I mean?
Normal.
It's not a problem, but whatever, normal, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when she doesn't want it, right? How do you deal with this? She doesn't want it, and she's afraid to like sexually in any way touch me because she thinks that I'm going to be like, fuck yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
You know?
So, do you guys have a lot of other touch in your relationship? Are you affectionate and cuddly or sensual or flirty? Like, what does touch look like in your relationship as a general thing, independent of sex?
Yeah, it's medium.
Medium?
Yeah. It's not like over the top. I'm probably more touchy than she is. Okay. But again, I'm always fucking chasing.
Yeah.
A little bit more than she is too. And she's right. I'm validating her a little bit, right? Because if I touched her and she touched me back in a way and gave me a look, sure. Right. As long as I don't have the fucking stomach flu, I'm down.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
The stomach flu. Valid.
Like, I mean, I could be congested and sick as shit other than the stomach flu. Like, the stomach flu I can't fucking handle. Don't touch me. Don't come near me. I want you to hold my hand. I think I'm dying. But everything else, I'm down. Right? So I get her concern.
Yeah. So it's not touchless. You don't live in a touchless relationship.
No, we don't live in a touchless relationship.
A lot of couples will get into that. And then my general rule is invite sex verbally and not through touch, because then touch becomes, every touch is, shit, does he want sex?
Right.
And then it becomes touchless because she's trying not to.
You would have to ask her that question if she feels like that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, she doesn't voice that all the time.
Well, you could touch her.
Right.
In different ways and verbally say, I'm not trying to invite you to sex. I'm just touching you. I just want to make you, I'm just flirting. I'm just, you know.
Sure. I'll touch her before we're like leaving the house too.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I do that. Yes.
But even if you're in the kitchen, even if you're in
the kitchen cooking.
Bedroom, I mean, you know.
Okay. But like, hold on. The sensual shower thing. I want to get back to this, right? Yeah. Like the sensual shower with no orgasm.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
It doesn't mean you don't have to have an orgasm. It comes down to competing needs, right? So this is the whole problem with desire discrepancy.
Okay.
You have a need for higher sex. She has a need for lower sex. Both needs are valid. Let's say you get into the sensual shower and she's like, you know what? I don't really have a need or desire to go have the full experience of, you know, an erotic encounter and intercourse. Right. And you're like, well, I'm horny.
Okay.
Let's say you're in the sensual shower. You guys can touch, you can kiss, you can have affection. She can enjoy just that skin-to-skin contact. And then you can still self-pleasure. She can help you out if she wants. If not, you can help yourself. There can still be a genital experience for you where you get your needs met and ejaculate. And she doesn't have to necessarily have intercourse. Right. But you still have a sensual experience together. It's still connected. There's still skin-to-skin.
I get it. Okay. Makes sense. No, I get it.
And then she's not on, it doesn't feel like pressure for her.
Right.
It's an option. It's another flavor of cheesecake.
If she wants to, then she can. But if not, then, it can go wherever she wants.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Because I know, like, I hear this from a lot of girls, like, you know, like our friends that are older, you know, like they're not fucking 19 anymore. Like the nighttime sucks sometimes because it wakes you guys up. Like it puts us to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel bad sometimes, you know, like, you know, it's like 10 o'clock, you know, you go and then I'm like, and then like an hour later, I like wake up or something to like take a sip of water and she's over there. And I'm like, shit.
Did she have an I mean,
yeah.
Even with an orgasm?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our friends say this. I'm not talking about my wife. This is somebody else's story.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I've heard it from a lot of people. You know, and like I have friends who have told me this. You know, like I don't know. It's just interesting. Not something.
They stay awake.
They were ready to go to sleep.
Yeah,
they have
had
sex.
They get all the. I wonder if they're actually having an orgasm or if they're faking it, because if they're getting their arousal up just a little bit, yes, they're waking themselves up, so their body is awake and electrified.
Okay.
But usually the orgasm sort of like takes that edge off and just
It's
you
like
kind of come over the top of the hill and then.
it's the other end of a panic attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because like after you have a panic attack,
you're like, oh my god,
it
what a
breaks.
release. Yeah.
You get a break. You get a break for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You feel fine.
I mean,
know?
I would wonder if these women are actually having an orgasm then.
Okay.
That's
a
my
good point.
hunch. I mean, I don't know.
You don't know,
I don't
sure.
want to like make assumptions, but
Okay.
most people who have an orgasm, they feel a sense of release and relaxation afterwards. That's
Okay.
part of our human sexual response.
Right.
If you, after the orgasm, it's called resolution.
Okay.
And that resolution stage is all about, I feel relaxed. I feel maybe not quite yet rejuvenated, but that's the whole intention of it. It's
Got
really
it.
that, brings it all full circle.
Got it. All right. We started with wanting to talk about our kids in porn. That's
Yeah.
how you approached me.
I did.
So let's talk about our kids in porn. 'Cause I've changed my mind on this.
Oh, you have?
I used to not think it was a problem. I watched all kinds of fucking porn when I was a kid, but it wasn't this.
Well, we grew up. How old are you?
I am 38 years old. I'll be 39 in July.
Okay.
How old are you?
I just turned 38 2 days ago.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
We're the same age.
yeah,
Yeah, it was hard to get.
exactly. The internet like came to be. It's kind of in
Oh,
college
yeah.
and like much more popularly. I don't know. I guess
After.
right afterwards.
Like I can remember like my parents going, okay, you're home. We'll be back in 5 hours. I'm like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, picture's gonna load.
one
You know?
one upload.
One picture's gonna load, and then God forbid they come home early. You know?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. It was a total, and so I feel like it's really challenging for us because, I mean, it's a whole different era.
Yeah, I
We
used
do
to be
not-
like, what's the problem, babe? Like my wife grew up Mormon. So like no sex, right? Like, you know, so we were on these competing ends of the spectrum.
Wow.
And I'm like, and this was before we had kids. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. It's just because you're fucking stupid religion, you know, that you didn't want to like no porn, you
Yeah.
know, like
All
porn's
the
so
rules
bad.
of religion.
Yeah, porn's so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break, you know. Like I watch plenty of porn. I'm not addicted. All of my friends watched a lot of porn, or not a lot, but like as a lot for the time.
But you didn't grow up as a teenager with porn
I wasn't 12 watching porn.
on a screen. I think it's really different.
Yeah. Magazine, you could see sometimes.
Magazine is really different. There isn't the same kind of there's access, but there's not the same kind of constant moving variety. You can't go down the same rabbit holes
Right.
into different areas, into places you never like
Got you.
blow
Yeah,
your
my,
mind
my,
apart.
My parents bought me a magazine when I was 16 for my birthday. My parents
for
did.
them.
My parents' friends did. We were in Florida when I turned 16 years old.
Playboy or what?
Playboy, yeah. Playboy Jenny McCarthy.
Oh my God.
I think I would like to say, I bet you it's still in my childhood bedroom.
That is awesome.
From 1996. What, that 30 years ago? 20 years ago. 20 years
This
ago.
could be a gift to your boys.
Yeah, here you go, buddy.
Here you go.
I don't know if the
Little
page is
used.
still. I mean, it's been used a little bit,
That's really funny.
but I bet you it's still in there. You know?
But you probably got a lot of use out of Jenny McCarthy over and over and over,
Yes,
which is
a
it's just
picture of Jenny McCarthy.
A picture, right? A picture. It does a few things for your brain. One, you get to have your imagination at your access.
Okay.
Right? You get to imagine the sex you're having as
Okay.
you while you're self-pleasuring and you're looking at this picture of Jenny McCarthy.
Okay.
I imagine that you are
Sure.
creating a whole scenario in your brain.
Right.
That's using your imagination.
Okay.
If you're watching a screen, you're kind of dumbing out. Any kind of TV, we're dumbing out. That's the function of it. We don't get to use our imagination.
All right.
So we lose our creative power. So there's that's one
Got it,
inherent problem
got it.
in it. Especially if we want to have like creative, interesting sex lives.
Right.
And if we don't have that creativity at our access, then we're more prone to boredom.
Okay.
Especially if we have one human
Right. Right.
for the rest of our lives.
Sure.
Kind of thing. The other problem is in terms of sex education, if we're not talking to our kids, and even if we are, this is a primary mode of them learning and seeing what sex looks
Sex
like.
is like, yeah.
And that's problematic. Again, I'm not necessarily against porn as a concept in terms of its use for erotica and turning people on.
And adults.
Adults. I mean, even in moderation, I would say older teenagers. But if it's sex education, it becomes really problematic because that's their first exposure, and our imprint is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Any imprint, right?
All of it was imaginary. I mean, I can remember arguing with my parents that I should have the satellite TV remote control when I was fucking. They were going to sleep.
Yeah.
You know. And I'm like, I'm gonna get like, and I'd like walk upstairs with the satellite because it was this big satellite on top of our house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like you could control it. You turned. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you could find fucking Cineporn, like Cinemax, late at night. You know, and I like and. I'm like, why can't I watch it? I'm just going to watch a movie. And they're like, yeah, you're going to watch a movie. You're going to watch fucking Emmanuel. Like, they're not stupid, right? Like, you know? Yeah. But what about that? Like, I mean, like, it's like.
I mean, even that's a little bit better than just like these 2 to 5 minute videos that you can kind of keep going through quickly into different things. And then you go down the rabbit hole of different things.
Yeah, you can find some weird shit.
It's just for the brain. If you think about it, it's just, there's a lot of stimulation for the brain. It becomes overstimulated.
All right.
I mean, you talk about anxiety. If we're bombarded, we're flooded with all these images.
Right.
That's not healthy for our brains in general.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you were to say, I'm just going to choose this one video that I absolutely love, you know, again, is there a problem that for young people? It depends if they're seeing it as erotica or sex education. I would prefer for my boys, just my personal bias, that they use their imagination. I don't care how often they want to self-pleasure. Once their sex hormones hit,
you can't
all
help
the time.
It's going.
Right. There's no restriction that I have on that.
It's where I slightly feel bad for pedophiles. Like, they can't help it.
That's true. They can't. It's their sexual
like, who you want to bang
orientation.
is who you want to bang.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't get me to bang a dude.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I guess you could drug me and yada yada, right? But I'd never be like, oh yeah. And there's nothing. I'm not saying there's wrong. There's nothing wrong with gay sex.
No, it's your
right?
sexual
like,
orientation
it's
is not
just
oriented
I don't
that way.
want it that way, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted children, like, that kind of sucks. You're fucked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I do sex workshops, sex education workshops for therapists, and we show the ethical pedophile. I think that's what it's called, the ethical pedophile. It's a YouTube video. You can find it. It's this guy, and he talks about how he knows that he's a pedophile. Pedophiles know they're pedophiles early because at 5 years old, they're attracted to 5-year-olds, hypothetically, right? At 10 years old, they're like, I'm still attracted to that 5-year-old. That's kind of a head scratch. Okay. 15 years old, shit. Why am I not attracted to the other 15-year-olds? I'm still attracted to the 5-year-old over there. And then they start to spin out. They know. They usually know, like a true pedophile knows. Yeah, this is weird. The ethical pedophile, what does he do? Yeah, so he knows that he has a problem, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to be a hermit. I'm going to stay, away from people. And he has a lot of fantasies, in his brain. He has, I think he talks about having like comic books. And I don't know if he watches porn or not, but he has an online community of other ethical pedophiles. Damn, that's so scary. But he knows he stays away. I know, but like the scariness of them like not staying away. That is scary, but that comes back down to like taking accountability for your own behaviors. Yeah. You talked about your friend in jail, like good heart, but sometimes we make poor behavioral he's not in jail decisions. Now. Yeah, he made. Okay. Yeah. He's good in now. In the past. Poor yeah. We make bad behavioral decisions. It's the same person. It's the same person. We do bad shit. We all do. Right. So how do you get like control of your behaviors as a piece of that? Yeah, because right now we like getting like, and we are definitely in the day and age of being in trouble for our ideas. Totally. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Right. Even if you've done nothing behaviorally. Dude, I was listening to Joe Rogan and Sam Harris talk about this, like Liam Neeson. You hear what Liam Neeson did? No. Man, like he went through this terrible period of his life, and at the end of it or something, like, and I might butcher the story a little bit, one of his really good friends was raped. And she was raped by this black guy, by this big black guy, So his brain tripped. He being Liam? Liam. Okay. His brain tripped, and he like went out for like a couple days or something looking for a black guy to beat up. Oh, wow. Yeah, but he didn't do it. Uh-huh. He never did it. He was able to always control himself. Okay. And it had nothing to do with like black people. Right. It was just that's who did this, so he's going to go do that. Yeah. Like if it was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy, that's what it was going to be. It just happened to be a black guy. His brain came back together. Mm-hmm. He fixed his problem, and now everyone's calling him a fucking racist. He's not a fucking racist. You know? He's not a racist. He's just a guy that fucking tripped for a second. And got triggered. And got triggered. And even if he did beat up a black guy, he's still not a fucking racist. Because like you can connect the two things. Mm-hmm. You
you can see, okay, like it's so easily seen of why he was doing what he was doing. It's not because he hates black people.
Yeah.
You know?
He had a bone to pick.
He had a bone to pick with a black guy. You know? I've had a bone to pick with a black guy, a Jew, a Mexican, like
a variety
of humans.
Yeah.
Women, you know? Am I a misogynistic, racist piece of shit?
Yeah.
And you know? But like, and his was just, again, it stayed an idea.
Yeah.
And now he's being fucking crucified.
God.
And you're just like, dude, like this, it's the day and age of being upset, right?
You take a risk. You take a risk doing this. I mean, who knows who listens to what and goes, oh my God, you have that idea.
Yeah.
So what are your ideas on boys and porn for your boys?
No, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared of a lot with my boys and sex in general.
Like what?
One, I'm scared of porn. I'm scared that they're going to need 5 girls and fuck them in the ass and then jerk off on all their faces like porn always does, right? Like that's what they're going to need to get off, because God forbid, I know it's never happened to me, you know, like that's this has never been my experience, you know, like unless they plan on being Hugh Hefner or some shit, like I don't know whose experience that is, you know. I'm scared of the cell phone. The cell phone scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I know what I would have done with a cell phone.
Me too.
You know? I am scared, and I'm not putting this on them. I got into a big argument with my neighbor about this. The girls walking around, like the young teenage girls walking around with their fucking asses out, you know? Like literally with their ass out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I can control myself.
Yeah.
I'm a male. I'm an adult.
Figured out how to manage your arousal.
Right? At 14,
no.
I don't know if I wouldn't have gone and grabbed that girl's ass. I would like to say that I wouldn't.
Like
just touch it.
Yeah.
Well, why else are you putting it out there, girl? That ain't fucking comfortable. No one likes shit up their ass like that.
That's true.
Right? You can't tell me it's this comfort thing. You want to express your sexuality. You are throwing your sexuality on me by showing me your ass like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anyone's asking for it. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
You know? But goddamn. Like it's like, okay, I said that wrong. Let me try this again. Nobody can understand shaking a baby until you've had one. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you're just like, oh my God. So you could see if somebody was a little off, you know, just a touch off.
That trigger.
How you
takes
just,
over.
and just for a second, fuck you. Because we've all wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Every single one of us. Yes?
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Multiple times.
Been like,
right?
It's like this. Yeah.
Yes. So if you're slightly off now, if you're slightly are working through some real weird mental space because of whatever hormones going on, or just you're off in general, you can see it, right? You can see it. I'm not excusing it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right, but you can see how someone shakes a fucking baby.
Yeah.
I can see how a boy walks up to a girl whose ass is out and grabs her fucking ass.
But that same boy might grab the girl's ass even if she was wearing a flowy hippie skirt and not advertising anything.
I mean, maybe I'm going to get crushed here. I've smacked a girl in the ass before in a bar.
I mean,
have you? Has it happened to you?
That's a great question. If it has, I really didn't care because I feel like that's like the context of like how bars work.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty comfortable and empowered. I probably would have been like, hey, keep your hands to yourself and forgot about it. That's probably my mentality.
I can't tell you the instant that I did it. I can't tell you that I was doing it, that I did it all the time.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure I did it. I know I did it.
Yeah.
I know my friend. I know every single boy I know
I've definitely smacked a few male asses.
Right.
I mean, and I feel like I know this sounds maybe terrible, but I felt like, well, I'm a girl. I can get away with it.
Yeah.
This is when I was younger.
Yeah.
But
yeah, of course, when we're younger.
Yeah.
You know? When we're younger.
We do stupid things when we're younger. I mean, that's the hard part of all of this, right?
Yes.
The hard part of all of this is once we, you know, I mentioned that we're sexual beings from the moment we're like made, basically. In utero, little boys get erections. You know, the second my
wife.
Oldest,
this is go ahead. You go first.
My little boy, my older one, my second one could care less really about his penis, but my older one loves his penis. From like the time I would change diapers early, he would grab his penis and be so excited about his penis. And I'd be like, all right, well, this is cool. And I would actually like buckle him into the diaper table so he wouldn't fall out. And I'd be like, well, you get penis time. Like, obviously you want to touch your penis. You do penis time. I'm going to wash my hands from your diaper. And, you know, put away some clothes and you do your penis time. And, you know, I made sure he didn't fall off the table, but I was like, it's penis time. So he has a nice relation. And I would just call it penis time. Like, my kids know their They know their penis. They know scrotum. They know anus. Like they know their parts. I mean, they know other body parts too, but they just know all their parts.
Right.
So I just, I use that example as we're sexual beings and we're made for pleasure.
With my oldest, my wife looked at me at one point and she goes, "All right, you can't fucking help it."
Well,
he was grabbing his dick.
Of course.
Right? He's like playing with his dick and swirling it around and yada yada. Like, and she's like, you can't help it. Like she's like, this is ingrained in you. And then like she stopped getting mad at me. It was great.
Oh, she's yeah.
That's why I was stoked.
Yes.
You guys are obsessed with your penis.
Yeah. Well, I tell my boys it's your toy for life.
Yeah, it's ours.
Yeah.
Everyone else's, in my opinion, everyone else's is gross. Like I have this rule with the men training.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand it. They wear these fucking tights with no shorts over them.
Oh.
And like they're like you can just like wrestling out like singlets, right?
Yeah.
Like you
could just
nobody wants to see that, man. I know you like yours.
I mean, I don't mind seeing it.
Really? All the time? You don't mind seeing people's penises?
I don't mind.
Oh, all right. Interesting. You're one of the first girls I've met.
Really?
Yeah, who like goes, "Oh yeah, I like that."
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
I like watching men work out. I like watching men move their bodies. The less clothing or the tighter, the better.
The better.
Yeah.
Even the
It's
penis
sexy.
part.
Even the penis part. Why not?
It's kind of gross.
Well, that's because you're not attracted to it. If you're attracted to, do you like when women work out with little tiny shorts and
of course, but you guys aren't gross.
Yeah, but that's because you like women. I like men. I like less
No, I get it.
the
I get
better.
it. I want to ask. Okay, so let's go back to my fears. With the porn and the cell phone.
The penis. Wait. So
the porn and the cell phone.
Boys and their penis, cell phone.
The cell phone scares the shit out of me. But I know my kid will. I know my kid.
Oh, okay. This I was gonna say. That's right. So yeah. So our boys are not yet erotic. Our boys are sexual. Mm-hmm. They become erotic. I kind of divide that line when they hit puberty, when all the sex hormones come online.
Okay.
And then they're like these crazy horny creatures.
Okay.
Boys and girls.
Okay.
There's like, oh my God, these are the dump of sex hormones that have been sort of living latently in you, and it's like they come online and
they're really hard to deal with.
They're so hard to deal with, and they hijack our brain. And even when you're aroused, like think about the last time you were aroused, it's sort of like if you think about a spectrum from like 1 to 10, and like a small arousal, like the beginning of an erection is like 2, 3. Once you hit like 4, 5, kind of your brain gets hijacked. Certainly when you're at 7, 8 and close to the inevitability of orgasm, you don't have your ability to like logically think through things.
Gone.
House is on fire. Shit. Like just burn down a few more minutes. Let me just get to this orgasm.
Hold on. Oh, you're coming to kill us? Just wait a second. Let me finish this up.
One more minute. Yeah. Right. So it hijacks our brain.
Right.
That's its function. And so, because we're, that's how we actually continued to make our population. Otherwise, we'd always be like on alert.
This is my argument to people sometimes. Boys are the way, like, when they start screaming about boys and being stupid. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, if we weren't this stupid, we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't
the human species wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
So anyway, hijacks our brain.
That's what arousal does. Then you add in like new arousal. Like if you're a 14-year-old and you just hit puberty and you have all this testosterone and you have all these sex hormones and you're self-pleasuring all the time, like they're trying to navigate and orient to all these new hormones, all this arousal in their body, and kind of do this tug of war with like logic that's also still developing. Like their brains are just not quite gelled.
We don't make good decisions.
Poor decisions, really poor decisions. This is why most of the poor decisions, when you see adolescents or politicians as adolescents making poor decisions, it's like, of course they did. We all did, because our hormones and our sexuality is just a confusing mix that we're still orienting to.
How do you feel about that, the Kavanaugh situation?
Ooh, how do I feel about that? I feel sad for everyone involved is how I feel about it.
But she didn't get raped.
She didn't get raped. But do I feel for her? 100%.
100%.
100%. Do I feel for him? I do.
I do too.
I feel for him because, if you give him for a minute a benefit of the doubt that he didn't do it, that's really shitty for him and men to be accused of something they might not have done. And as a mother of boys, I am terrified. of women accusing my boys of something they may not have done.
Terrified. That's why the cell phone scares me.
Terrified.
Because because like, I'd be begging for pictures.
Yeah.
At 14, 15.
Totally.
Begging.
And sending pictures.
And sending.
Yeah.
Right?
Which...
but I'm terrified of it.
So it's parenting. I mean, I've thought about this a lot.
But we can do all the parenting we want. If some girl's like, send me your dick, he's doing it. If she's like, you send me your dick and I'll send you a whole naked picture and I'll make a video for you. He's fucking doing it.
Yes. So I have some hope, right? Here's my yes. Like yes. And here's my hope, right?
Okay.
Because I've thought through this. Because like, how do you help them navigate that? You can't help them navigate it at that minute that they are 14.
Of course not.
You've got to start prepping them now.
Okay.
And that's, I think, a piece around parenting.
So what's the prep?
I think the prep, and I've got young boys, so this is just an experiment in the making. But my prep, at least in my mind, is this blend of responsibility and respect, and it's self-respect and responsibility. How do we as parents cultivate more responsibility? So we talked about the laundry, for instance. And I know, I think you said your oldest mows lawns or something.
Yep.
That's cultivating responsibility. They're learning to take responsibility.
Right.
They're learning how to be resilient, autonomous, independent beings.
We can't just all of a sudden give them this big responsibility.
Completely. And it's through the path of earning responsibility that they also earn self-respect.
I agree.
So different ways of earning self-respect. My hope is that by the time they're 14, they have a boatload under their belt of responsibility and self-respect that will hopefully ground them enough to think through these hard, tricky decisions around things like cell phone and texting. And of course, I'm going to talk to them about it. I mean, and I'll come to what I plan to do with porn, whether they like it or not. I have a plan. But my hope is that they have enough of that grounding under their belt that when they face things like sexting and porn, the sexting piece, for instance, they think about it for a minute. Or they come and they ask me. They probably won't come and ask me, but they think through it. They think through the consequences, right?
How about the porn?
Okay, so porn. Well, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Do you have any plan around?
No, I got no fucking plan. That's why I'm fucking talking to you. I got no plan.
So my plan is kind of crazy.
Go ahead.
But here's my plan. I'm going to watch porn with them. I'm not going to watch porn chronically with them, but I'm going to talk to them about, they know the parts now, age-appropriate sex education, which in my mind is small, bite-sized pieces through their lifespan.
My boys know, they don't know the technical term of scrotum, but they know penis.
Great. Testicles?
Balls.
Fine.
Hoo-ha and vagina.
Vulva.
They don't know that, no.
Vulva is the whole genital area.
Okay.
But if they know that, right, then what are the different parts of the vulva? Because there is the vagina, which is internal.
Right.
And then there's the clitoris.
Gotcha.
And there's the clitoral hood.
Right.
So if they really want to be great.
Do your kids know all this?
My kids don't know clitoris.
Okay.
They know vulva. And they know vagina.
Okay.
They know they have emerged out of my vagina. They know the vulva.
My kids know that.
Is the whole area.
Okay.
My friends, their girls know clitoris. They're little girls. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because they have it and they're orienting to it.
Right. Okay. All right, so go ahead. What do? You're going to watch porn with them?
I'm going to watch porn. Whew, am I going to watch porn with them? Yeah, this is my hope, is that it's, at an age-appropriate time when they're starting to get curious about it, that we put it on and we deconstruct it, like media literacy. This is porn. This is not what sex looks like, but I know you're going to see it. I know you're going to watch it. It's inevitable. It's completely inevitable. So let's talk about it.
Do the hardest thing possible.
Totally.
I think I like it.
You watch it and you go, okay, pause. What do you see on the screen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's arousing. That's fine. They probably won't get terribly aroused if you're watching it with them as a parent.
I doubt it.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because it might actually take away the...
Sure. It's like, hey, here's a fucking cigarette.
Right.
Or here, you want this beer?
Right.
I gave my 5-year-old a drink of beer last night. He's like, oh, where's water?
Yeah. So, and talk about it. Okay, you see this giant erection.
Yours don't look like that.
Yours don't look like that. Dad's might not look like that. Uncle, I don't know. Whatever.
Sure.
So you pause and you talk and you deconstruct it.
All right. I think, I can see it. It's what I do with everything else.
How so?
Everything that's hard with them, every difficult thing, we pause, we deconstruct it.
Okay. Same thing.
Right? Like when you're losing it, when you're this, when you're that, whatever it may be. When I'm losing it, hey, you see that this is how not to act. This is what that is.
Yeah.
All right. I think I have another question. One last question.
Okay.
And it's something you said. these partners that we're supposed to be monogamous with.
Okay, what's your question?
Are you a fan of monogamy?
I'm a fan of whatever people. Okay, let me think about that differently.
Have you seen married couples have a non-monogamous relationship and it actually work, or for the long term?
Yes and no. So let me give you some context. It's sort of a longer answer. First, you got to ask, what is the opposite of monogamy? So non-monogamy is this big category. It's like martial arts. There's lots of categories of martial arts, right? There's lots of categories of non-monogamy.
Okay.
You could just share fantasies. You could go to Starbucks and people watch and talk about who's attractive. You know, you could.
Let's just talk about sex with another person.
Okay, you could swing. It's very just recreational. You could swing with another couple in the same room where you're with your partner and they're in the other bed. You could switch a full swing. But the swinging piece is sort of recreational sex without the relationship. Then you have polyamory. Polyamory is a whole nother relationship, a whole nother person. And
let's talk about those two.
Polyamory?
Swinging and
polyamory.
Yeah.
So they're different. One is more recreational, just for the sex. There's not a lot of emotion tied up in it. There's some. We're human. But not really. Polyamory is you really want to love this person. And usually there's sex. Some people do polyamory without the sex, but not many.
It's the fucking point.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
What's the point of a whole other headache?
Yeah. Well, yes.
You know?
So I'm biased, right? What I see in my office is a lot of people coming in, and understandably, they're bored in their relationships, or they're not working their relationship well enough because relationships are hard. There's competing needs. We don't know how to get them met. We're not communicating well, blah, blah, blah. And they go, I'm going to fix this with another person. We're going to open the relationship. I say to them, if your primary relationship has a fracture in it, and you're trying to solve that fracture or that wound with another person or couple or whatever, with polyamory, I'll talk about recreational swinging in a minute. With polyamory, you're inevitably going to be heading down for divorce.
Right.
I say this to my couples who want to open from that place of fracture. Now, if they say to me, we've been together, whatever, lots of years. We're solid, we're strong, and we love each other, but we're also curious. And we have a lot of trust, and we have a lot of transparency, and we have a lot of depth and security in the relationship. But, we're curious. We like to sort of play with this. I'll say to them, as long as those pieces are in order, I would advocate for the more recreational pathway, just because you don't get caught up in a whole nother relationship. Relationships are hard to work. Mm-hmm. So why work a whole nother relationship?
My relationship with some of your friends can be hard to work.
Oh yeah. So I say to those people, if there's the trust and the transparency, let's play with, pushing the boundaries and the envelope with non-monogamy with more recreational stuff, if they want to do that. So I'm not against non-monogamy. I don't think polyamory works for most people just because it's really hard to juggle. And I'll say my bias. I think people who do it, and I'll be radically honest, I was one of these people in my 20s.
Okay. Not now?
No, not now.
Okay.
In terms of polyamory. And I can say that I was doing it from this place, and I'll tell you about this place in a minute. And I think a lot of people do it from the place of, it's a type of anxiety. It's an attachment anxiety where you're worried that your partner won't always be there for you. So if you have a few other partners on the back burner, right. on your stove, like right. I got 5 other pots back there.
I'm not going to get burned.
I'm not going to be abandoned.
Right.
It's an abandonment fear.
That's what I meant by burned.
Yeah. So the people who have those abandonment fears, but it can show up in other ways. Either we're human. We either have abandonment fears or I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. You're going to, both types of people who are really immersed in that fear are going to maybe pick this pathway because, this person doesn't think I'm good enough, but this one does. Or this one might abandon me and that one might abandon me, but these 3 won't. Or however it shows up.
Gotcha, okay.
So for me, I know I was operating from that place of, if I have a few other people in the back burner, I'll be safe. Once I actually did marriage and felt deep safety, I didn't need that construct to feel safe in the world.
I don't mean to get too personal. Did you do it at the beginning of your marriage?
Not polyamory.
Okay, got it. All right.
So It was really before I met my husband that I was doing this. So I was sort of the third in other people's
relationships.
Yeah.
Got it. Did that destroy their relationships?
Not that I know of, but I chose people that were in different states, and just like,
Gotcha.
it was like I wasn't doing it full on like an everyday relationship.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's that.
So you don't really know?
I don't know. And it was all an experiment.
Sorry,
and being in this,
that was too much.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
You
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, I experimented with a lot of things in my 20s because this is the field I'm in.
Right.
And then it's like...
That's what most people do, though.
That's what most people do. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I tell people, I think it's a hard construct to work. Have I seen it work well for some people? Very small minority.
Right.
But do I see recreational sex working well for people? There's a better chance of that, and more people can do that well.
I couldn't handle it.
As long as there's the healthy relationship.
Yeah, I couldn't
But
handle
if you
it.
have too much jealousy and insecurity...
Ooh, jealousy and insecurity, you say?
Well, why wouldn't you be able to handle it otherwise?
I don't want my wife to bang another dude.
But why?
What's that?
But why? I mean, it's valid. I'm not...
Yeah.
But I'm asking you
why. I'm jealous and insecure about it.
What are you worried that might happen if she does?
I'm not worried that she'll leave me. That's not a concern.
Okay. Then you're worried you're not good enough?
Yeah. I guess that's what it is.
So that's your primary fear. Mine's I'm going to be abandoned. I'm cool that I'm good enough.
Right.
But I worry that I'm going to be abandoned.
He'll leave you.
Yeah.
That will be better, and he'll leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I mean, that fear doesn't dominate me anymore.
Right.
But it definitely shows up at times, especially when we fight.
Right.
And it shows up, just shows up. It's our fear.
Right. Huh. I'm quiet because I'm trying to think about, like, when we fight. I'm not concerned with when we fight that I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not secure. Yeah, you're right. I'm not secure enough to be like, oh yeah, go fuck whoever you want. That'll be great. Just come home and make sure we go to sleep together.
But that's really normal too. If you were, you want to.
I'm ride or die. Like my whole life is set up ride or die. We don't hire from the outside. You know what I mean? Like we bring this ship up together.
Yeah.
We want everyone to come. I want as many ride or die as I can. I want a big ship. I want a big circle.
Yeah.
But I don't like going outside the circle.
Yeah.
So like when you go outside the circle, like that to me would be going outside the circle,
mm-hmm.
and it might break the ride or die.
Okay. But biologically, you are not programmed to want your spouse to have multiple partners. That actually challenges on just a biological level. Obviously,
Right.
we are more than just our biology.
Right, for sure.
But biologically, you obviously don't want her to go be,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not that fertility is easy for you guys, but but you don't want her, having that risk in other places.
Right.
Just on that biological level.
Sure.
So it makes sense that you're wired to be like,
Right.
Don't go off with other men.
Baby, I know I can't do this right now, but don't go anywhere.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I'm just validating. It doesn't mean that you're an insecure guy or that, that.
No, I find myself pretty secure with most things, and I'm pretty open, and I'll talk about just about anything with anybody. Because I think we need a little more of that.
Yeah.
And to talk about how similar we are rather than how different we are.
Yeah.
And our differences actually make us similar.
Yeah.
So I just think the more you show how different you are than people, the farther we go down this rabbit hole of like Democrats and Republicans right now.
Yeah.
And like me against you.
We get polarized.
We get super polarized. My tribe, and you try to make your tribe small. I don't want my tribe to be small. Like I know that when I say like the ride or die thing and like everyone on the ship, I'm not calling everybody at the fucking worst moment. I get that.
Yeah.
But like I do believe that we can bring this whole ship up together.
Yeah.
And if we don't have these hard conversations, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're married, I'm married, we're sitting here talking about sex. Like, I've never actually talked about sex with somebody like this before. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure nothing to you.
No, it's not nothing, but.
But for me, it's different, right?
Yeah.
I've never like sat down and had a conversation about sex with somebody from the opposite sex.
Okay.
Like this. Like, I mean, obviously I've talked about sex,
Yeah.
but like not like.
Really, frankly.
Not like frankly
vulnerably.
and studying it and like looking at it and being like, oh, well, mine's like this,
Yeah.
So My therapist, I do a little bit, but
Yeah.
but she's my therapist. Like, you're not my therapist. You know, you're like, so it took a while for me and my therapist to do it.
How long?
6 months.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Most therapists can't go there.
Oh, she's the best.
That's awesome.
She's the fucking best. I can say, God, I fucking love you, Gail. Like, I can say whatever I want to her. It does not matter.
Awesome.
It does not fucking matter. We can talk about whatever, Yeah. And then if I'm a little off in her opinion, I just hear can you please explain that again? And now I know that I'm like, fuck. God damn it. This is where we are for the hour, Like, so, but yeah, I recommend therapy for everyone. Like,
oh yeah.
I
have a therapist.
Yeah.
I am a therapist.
You are. Yeah. I recommend it for everyone. It's like brushing your teeth, man.
Yeah.
Like when your teeth are rotting out, brushing them doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
And if you have a huge crisis on your hands.
Yeah.
You brush your teeth so that your teeth don't rot.
It's a doctor for it's not just your head, right? I like to think that we are brain and body alignment, but the mental health piece, if we're going to go to the doctor for our physical health, why not go for our mental health?
Fuck.
Or our sexual health or our relationship health.
Whatever it is, yeah. My wife and I go
to
therapy.
With Gail too?
Nope, no, not with Gail. I don't. Gail's mine.
You don't mix.
Yeah, Gail's
Good.
mine.
Good. No mixing.
No one gets Gail. Gail's fucking
Gail.
mine.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But all right, I got to roll.
Okay. That
Thanks.
was so fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Watch some porn with my boys.
Yeah. And deconstruct it.
Don't sit there.
Pause it. Deconstruct it. You might have to go down a few rabbit holes.
Right.
Or go down the rabbit holes they go down.
Right.
I might not watch porn. I don't want them to watch porn for the first time with me.
Good point.
But if once I know that they're watching porn, okay.
Let's talk about this. Yeah. Right. You don't want to introduce it to them.
I don't want to introduce it to them, correct.
Right. Yeah, but you don't.
But I want to deconstruct it with them once it's on their radar.
Yes.
And I want to hope that it doesn't come on their radar too early.
Sure. Yeah.
And I want to also prepare them beforehand with lots of sex education.
I don't introduce fighting to my kids. I play.
Okay.
We played jujitsu.
Okay.
But then once like confrontation started with other people, now we started talking about fighting.
Okay.
And how do you fight? Which is another hard subject.
Yeah.
How and when can you fight?
He talks about de-escalating with your words first.
With your words first.
Yeah. It's important.
It's important. And now my kids don't really get in fights because they can talk.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
You'd rather them never have to use jujitsu is really the goal of it.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Only in here.
Right.
On
the mat.
I hope they never want to fight.
Where they get it out too, by the way. This is so tied to sex. Like we are really intentional about jujitsu as well, or we like jujitsu more than the other martial arts.
Right.
But any martial art really that's on the mat where you can get that aggression out is a really good thing for their boyhood, especially as their hormones come online. It's a place to get that aggression on.
Yeah, you have to have it. It's got to have a release
in a sanctioned place.
Yeah, where you're taught how to do it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you said, not the screen.
Yeah.
Not the
screen. Or the bars.
Or the bars. Yep. So.
Or the school field.
All right. Tell everyone where they can reach you, where they can contact you if they need some help or any of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Boulder. My business is called the Intimacy Institute. And we have a team of 5 therapists, actually. I work with my husband. He's also a sex therapist. And we have 3 other people on our team we do couples and individuals. And we have a couples retreat coming up in April. We have 3 spots left. And we're writing a book. So if you don't want to come into therapy and you want to read a book, it's coming. Not as fast as your book, but it's coming.
It's some work. Trust me. Tell me, where can they reach out to you? Phone number, Instagram, all that stuff, anything?
Yeah. The Intimacy Institute is the best website for that. Just Google it. Okay. The Intimacy Institute. Phone number is 720-331-3354 if you want to call.
All right.
But usually most people find us
on the internet.
So they can kind of look at the website. Right. It's sex. It's people get scared.
People get scared.
But you don't have to be.
Well, what do we know? Rule number 4, when you're scared, you got to go do it. Right? You got to go do it when you're scared. It sucks, Yeah. So talk to your kids about it, Talk to your kids about it. Don't let them just sit there and figure that shit out by themselves or with a screen like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. These are hard conversations. That means we have to do the hardest things possible.
And talk to our partners about it. Because if we can talk to our partners, then we can talk to our kids.
That's a good point. Renee and I are going to talk.
Good.
Renee and I I'm going to call her when we're done. I'm going to call her on my drive. So,
sweet.
All right, Jenni. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Eliot.
All right, guys. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Fire Marshal 205. Get your DBAB shirts. get the book, The Gospel of Fires, out on Amazon. We hit bestseller. So stoked about that. That's all. Peace out, y'all.